Oh, welcome everybody. This is a special edition of the Northstars Show. I'm Bruce Cameron, along with two of my special guests here, and it's special because of the fact this is the first time ever that a father and son, father being a former North Star and his son is a current North Star, but we've had twins and we've had brothers on this team, but this year is a little bit of a different slant. And it gives my pleasure to introduce the two. Michael, let's start with you there as the father of Jory. And when did it all start for you?
As for the North Stars,
Yeah,
it goes back to, was it 93, 94, 94, 95 seasons I played.
And back then, who might have been the coach back then, and who were some of the leaders on the club back then?
The first year for a coach, we had Danny Nichols, of course, Doug Corman, Rob Murray. Some of the leaders we had were, Warren Ayres, great leader on and off the ice. We had Vince Owen, who actually he was a goaltender, but he was a leader in the dressing room for sure, and went on had a pretty decent career in playing hockey. Second year we had Doug Corman, who was the head coach, and again we had Rob Murray and Kelly Davis. And that year we had a ton of leaders on and off the ice, guys by the name of Eddie Wood, Stefan Chernesky, Cliff Duchesne, Ryan Bordas, and Dave Scully. The list just went on and on that year.
Some of the players you're talking about went on to have some great careers with the OCN. Blizzard, who was in their heyday there, and they won quite a few championships with a lot of those players you're talking about. And that was the glory years, and they were the golden years of the Norman North Stars for sure. I think they've tied that in with a championship. Just shortly after you left, Michael, they ended up winning the Manitoba Championship. And when you were there, they had first place, and they should have won it that year, but they came up a little bit short, I think, that year too. Now I'm going to talk to Jory a little bit, and Jory is the son of Michael, and that's kind of unique. What do you feel about that? Is that kind of unique for you? We think it's kind of special. How about you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just a family thing, just to keep it going.
I like that jacket, Jory. If Paul can get a close-up of that jacket, that there goes back. There's a little bit of history tied to that jacket. Tell me about that jacket.
For sure. Well, first game of the North Stars, my dad just pulled this out of the closet and said, "Here, wear this." And I don't know, it's very vintage, and I like it.
It is vintage, and did you wear it, Michael, at the time? Was that something that you wore at the time?
Actually, I still wear it. It does fit me, and but I gave it to him. Now it's his. He's playing for the North Stars, so he could have it. But yeah, I did wear it back in the day.
Well, you're wearing it proudly anyway, and that's a good thing. And now let's talk a little bit about hockey here. I forgot to ask Michael about his points, but I'm going to ask you. I'll ask Michael in a minute about it. What's your stats like this year so far, Jory?
Well, I have 2 assists so far, so.
And you'd like to see a little bit more than that, but I know it's tough. But you have another year left, Jory, and you're looking forward to probably 2 years with the Norman North Stars, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Mike, just back to Mike for 1 second. Do you remember your stats there, Mike?
Yeah, I believe it was 4 goals and 7 assists.
And how many games? And I think we forgot to say it was over a couple of years for you.
It was
there.
2 seasons. Yeah, I had a few injuries over the 2 seasons, but I think I played about 48 games, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, and you weren't a Thompson boy. You played a lot of your hockey in Leaf Rapids, and back in the day, I imagine your dad probably worked for the mine there. I'm thinking,
yeah.
But and minor hockey was pretty big back then in there. We used to get a lot of players coming out of Leaf Rapids and Cross Lake, Norway House, Flin Flon, and in the Pas. We don't see that much anymore, and I don't know, Michael, have you got an answer to why that might be?
Oh, I think the population. I mean, up in Leaf Rapids, there's no industry anymore, and either in Lynn Lake, there's no mines anymore. So, I just think there's the population isn't there to produce these kids anymore. But I mean, we're still getting a few good players coming out of Gillum and places like that. So,
yeah. The one thing I did like about Leaf Rapids, we went up there many times with the kids and stuff, was the fact that you could just play and you could stay at the hotel and just go downstairs and watch hockey and then go back upstairs and it just stayed inside the whole weekend long. So
yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was a unique setup and something you don't see too often, but it was a beautiful place back in its day.
Okay, Jory, back to you again. And Jory, who would you like to play for when you're done here? You still got another year, but what's your goals going forward?
Well, I just like to play hockey as long as I can and just ride it out for as long as I can. Play anywhere.
And,
But
yeah, go ahead.
I like to play for the Bombers. It seems like a good quality organization and it's a good team to play for.
Well, they're handy home too, and which is good. Mike could get down and see you there and watch some of that hockey. And I just had Gord up there. I was talking to Gord Fedorchuk last night, and a good Flin Flon guy, and reminisced a little bit about the Flin Flon Bombers. You got such a storied history over there, and. God, anytime I walk in that building there, I don't know if you're like that, and you, Mike, walking around that building with all those pictures and all those great players that came through there back when they were in the WHL. How do you feel about that when you walk in there? Do you get the same feeling I get about the rich history? It's almost like walking in a place like Toronto or Montreal, I would think, as far as the north.
Yeah, I still get the chills every time I walk in there. You know, they produce such good hockey players out of that organization, and I compare it to, you know, if you're playing in Flin Flon, you're playing for the Montreal Canadiens. You know, that's what it definitely feels like because there's so much pride in that town, and they eat, breathe hockey in Flin Flon.
And Mike, you got a little bit. You played a little bit there, did you not? After you left the Norman Northstars, did you not?
I did, yeah. I had a brief stint there, and I think actually there was a few Norman Northstars there that year. The Ren Almonias, Eddie Wood, and Clayton Quinn.
And that the crowds there are fanatical, aren't they? When the Bombers get on that ice, they just go crazy. And that old Moose Lake coming out there.
Yeah.
That wasn't in your day probably, but now the Moose Lake comes over the top, and maybe you'll experience that somewhere down the road.
Yeah, it was neat. I mean, definitely they supported their players, you know, on and off the ice. It's first class organization, definitely.
So Jory, that's a place that you'd aspire to be at. And have you talked to anybody down in Flin Flon? Have you got some friends on that team right now, or anybody that you talk to on that team?
Not really. I just listen to stories from my dad, and from what he says, it seems like a great organization to play for. And I went to the camp, and it was just good hockey.
I'd like to play there too, but I think I'm too old, Jory, for that. But and not good enough, obviously. But this year, you'd like to see more ice time for yourself, obviously. But what do you think you got to do to get more ice time on this team? What do you think?
I just gotta start putting up points and just keep working hard.
So you got the first round of playoffs going to be here. That should be pretty exciting. Are you looking forward to that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Hopefully get a good crowd out and good support.
Now, who would be Eastman or Interlake? It looks like one of them teams are going to show up here. Which team would you rather play, or does it matter to you?
Oh, it doesn't matter, but no, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't
at all,
really matter
no.
to you. And who's some of your favorite players growing up, Jory? Who'd you look up to?
Well,
Like I'm talking about in the NHL. Who would be some of your stars that you in the NHL?
Pavel Datsyuk was always my favorite growing up. Just watching him play was unreal.
That guy can sure handle the puck.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. You look at Crosby and that. They're two different type players, but my goodness, that guy can sure handle the puck and knows where that net is. I tell you, when that guy's around the net, and some of them goals you look on YouTube of what he can do with that puck, it's just amazing what he can do with that puck. Yeah. And back to you, Mike. Who'd you like to see them play in the playoffs? Any particular?
You know what? No, it doesn't matter. I think they just better be prepared because it doesn't matter who they play. It's going to be a battle. So.
Do you follow along? Do you travel with the team at all, Mike?
I don't. I'm actually going to make my first road trip next weekend. It'll be the first one of the year.
And you live in town now, Mike, and where do you work now?
I do. I live here. I work for Manitoba Hydro as a power electrician.
Okay. And Jory is the oldest of your boys, but you have another son playing Double A in Bantam. So we got another guy could be coming up through here. So we could see this again. You could be the second go around here.
Yeah, you never know. I got my younger boy, Caleb, and you just never know.
And how's he doing in Bantam Double A?
He's doing all right. He's holding his own. He's not a very flashy player, but I think he's defensive-minded, and he looks after his own zone. So.
And what about you, Mike? Any aspirations to coach or anything like that? Or do you play in old-timers or good time or anything like that?
You know, I still play every once in a while. You know, I would like to get out a little bit more, but, you know, unfortunately with 4 kids, our lives are pretty busy, so I sometimes don't have the time to do so. But maybe in the near future, a little bit more.
So you get the whole family down to watch Jory play with the Northstars, do you?
Yeah, you bet. We're gonna take the whole family and go on a little vacation and watch some hockey.
That'd be a great idea there. And I guess anything to add before we close it off? It's really a pleasure having you guys, and it is a first for the Norman Northstars. We've looked through a lot of players to see if this was legit, that it wasn't. Was there anybody else? And we went through that list pretty extensively. We couldn't find anybody, and it sure is a pleasure to have you two with me here to experience it for the very first time. So good luck to you, Jory, when you move on to bigger and better things. And thanks for doing this for us too, Mike.
Hey, no problem. It's an honor. I thought since I mentioned I have another boy, I also have two other girls, so I better mention their names as well, and that's Brees and Tavesley.
Are they hockey players as well? Are they playing? Would they be coming up through the hockey ranks, maybe in
No,
the females?
not at this time. I tried getting
Yeah.
Brees going, but she wants nothing to do with it. But maybe Tavesley, we'll see.
Well, that's who knows? Who knows in the future? Well, that's our edition here. We'll close it off for now. And like I said, I want to thank you guys for coming and sharing this with us, and wish you all the best of luck in the future. Especially you, Jory. You'll be going on and maybe going on to bigger and better things past the Northstars and on to maybe junior hockey. So we'll leave it at that. And so this has been a special edition of Norman Northstars hockey, and I want to thank Paul for giving us a chance to do this. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you very much for watching.